Good morning. I've forced myself to come out. It was sunny and warm yesterday, but my hands are purple today. It's cold. Anyway, I don't know where we're going. I have a vague idea. Spotted something growing. I'm not sure what it was. It looked like a cultivated plant from gardens. Anyway, I'm going to nip across some fields, following footpaths obviously, to following some paths I've never been along, even though I've driven past them regularly. And then we'll see where we end up. I have a plan, but as always, who knows? Now there's something you wouldn't be expecting to see on one of my videos, eh? And then above us is those ones. Lovely. I say lovely sarcastically like that, but without them you wouldn't be watching this. So yeah, so I'm still amazed, this juxtaposition between nature and that, where the fact that they've done it and it spreads quite from that field right the way across to up into that field. Anyway, we're going down a dip which if I was in a better condition, i.e. uninjured, I'd consider running down there. Well, as long as I didn't have my pack on my back. So I'm hoping that this bit is going to warm up my hands. Oh, look at this. What's this? Do you think this is a wall line? See, it joins up with there. That's a wall line. This seems to be a bit of a gap, and then there's more along there. Do you think? Was that a wall? Or was it? It wouldn't be something buried like a cable or pipe, because that has to be a certain amount down, and they wouldn't have raised it. I mean, although, raising the ground over where you've buried something does mean you don't have to bury it so deep. Loopholes. I do laugh. I don't know if other countries are like this, but if there's a law in Britain, we'll find a way around it. But if I could remember the classification of food thing that went on in, was it Henry VIII's time? And how they made it so you couldn't eat certain foods on certain days or something, and then they reclassified it. They reclassified, I don't know, what didn't they reclassify chicken as fish? Or something like that. I think it was something like that. Just so they could eat it. Funny. Yeah, the skylarks. There's a lot of them around here. Well, my plan is to go to some woods. That's the aim. It's lovely when the blackthorn's starting to come out. You can see the colour of the buds of the flowers is really lovely. But as you can see, this extends all the way down. Well, I've done what I usually do when I go out, and that is, I mean, I've sort of been thinking about this for a few weeks. You know, after I kind of, what I do is I look at a map with ideas of what I want to find, and then I may see other things, which is very often the case. Just look at the young wood in there. So because I got injured because I do so much digging, that'll probably be the end of my digging actually. I needed to find somewhere that I could maybe get to that wasn't going to be too taxing for my internal parts, as it were. Anyway, so yeah, so what I do is I kind of look at the map and I think, oh yeah, I could do that, and then I work it out, and then over the next while or so, wow, nice gnarled field maple, look at the bark on it, amazing in there. Look at that, all sort of rippled and deeply cut. So I look at a map and I figure out what might be nice to walk, and I pretty much try and make it so there are trees where I go. That's what I do. Ooh. And you can see, look, this has got tree cancer. You can see that in there. All cut about, and certainly this one here, look at that. Ugh. Now I think that is canker, but as well it could have ash dieback too. Oh yeah, it's not looking that healthy up there. Anyway, oh, I just spotted these. Wow, lovely oaks. See, and there's young wood being built around them. I say built because, you know, you can see there that there's rows rather than planting exactly. And I've just come behind this ash. I mean, look how old that is. Look how big that trunk is. That's a metre across. I don't know if it comes over on the camera. So yes, ooh, a willow. Look at that one. See, that's old as well. Look at that. A few hundred years old, that one. Maybe there's a few down here. Yeah, so I look and I see what might be good, you know, to wander. And very often I don't tell anyone I'm going, so I kind of, woo. Look how old that is. That could be two merged, but either way, and the way that's, see, that kind of looks like it was an old hedge that was cut for the last time. Well, how old's that? 40, 50 years ago, maybe 60, and then never cut again. Wow. And then, ooh, wow. Tell you what, that one doesn't look too burnt, does it? So I'm guessing King Alfred hasn't come this way. because that cake looks like it could be eaten. But obviously I don't recommend it because you can't eat them, can you? I'm not 100% sure. Check that out. King Alfred's cakes, can you eat them? They don't look like they'll be worth it. They, you know, the fact that they're called King Alfred's cakes and the story is that he burnt them means they're going to be rock hard, doesn't it? You can see by the bark in these ones. You can tell by the bark that that's a cherry. Oh, that looks beautiful over there, doesn't it? I don't know if you can see that. The white, just delicately around there. I can't see what tree it's coming from though, because I don't know what the tree is behind it. That's... yeah, I'm not sure. I just got molested by a young puppy. I say, I don't know what that is, but it's cherry, isn't it? I'm looking at cherry trees and looking at cherry blossom. Surely, yeah, I am. Yeah. Sometimes I talk like an idiot. Yeah, I like tracks like this. Tell you, this is a green lane, isn't it, really? This reminds me of a time where, I suppose it would have been the early 80s, when I went with some friends of mine to Salisbury. I mean, we didn't live far away, so we had to go, you know, from Devizes down to Stonehenge, and we ended up on a track just like this. It was a bit wider by a couple of meters, I would say, and there were a load of travellers on it. You know, caravans, buses, trucks. It was right on the edge of Salisbury, not far from Old Sarum, I think, which is a hill outside Salisbury and was the original Salisbury town. And anyway, we went. It was early one evening, and you had to go. We parked on the edge of Salisbury in this estate, and then you have to walk across a field of wheat or barley. It might have been barley actually, and this kind of reminds me of this. Now this is perfect actually, because we had to walk through this field, and then we came to like what was the middle of the lane, but there, stood at the entrance, was a wicker man, probably as tall as that, really as tall as that and as big as that. Where all the ivy is, that it was that kind of size. And so you had to, it was like a summer, you know, proper summer evening, warm, unlike anything I like now. I didn't really notice it then. And you came across this cornfield about 8 o'clock in the evening, 8:30 in the evening, and you walked under this wicker man. And we all wandered down. We were trying to find someone. And then from out of one of the caravans, you could hear the sounds of John Martin playing. I think it might have been Solid Air playing out of this caravan. It's one of, you know, it's one of my fondest memories of it all. And every time I come to a green lane like this, I'm always reminded of it. Because, you know, everyone's familiar with the Wicker Man film, or many people are. I say everyone, not everyone. And you know, obviously I know the earlier one with Edward Woodward, The Man of Three Woods, and I still think that one's the best, because it's, I don't know, there's something that, like the Stepford Wives in the 70s, there's something more horror about those ones because of the way they were filmed. They haven't got the Hollywood bullshit on them, and you know, that becomes more real then. Whereas when they make it all glamorous and sparkly, it loses its nightmarish qualities. Do you think? It's funny in spring with the birds and their squabbling. Well, that's a path. I'm just sort of getting my directions, as it were. And there is one that goes across this field at an angle, but not from here. From sort of halfway between here and the house. I think there's a gate there where it dips before it goes up at the end. It's not really that exciting, is it? But it's quiet and bereft of any buildings, so that's good. The buds about to burst into life. If you look up there, you can actually see them all. And there's the wood we just came past, and had to look at the cherries. Yeah, it's funny, I don't know what this tree is. I don't even recognise the bark. And part of me is going, you should know what this is. It's one of those, sometimes you have a blank, don't you? And it's kind of almost oak-like, but it's not an oak. That I know. But the buds are quite big. Maybe it's a sycamore, but it's a bit, the bark's a bit willowy though, so I think it could be a willow, but even so, it still doesn't look like it. Yeah, I'm not far from the wood now. I mean, still got a little way to go, but there's, I'm coming up to a house here. I know, although this track goes past there, the actual route veers off. I've just spotted a lovely oak tree. Oh. I don't like that when I spot a lovely tree and then you see the bark's all damaged at the bottom. Don't know if this is going to show. Don't know if I can get close enough zoom on it. You see all damage at the bottom there. Noise of someone cutting lawns. There you go, here's a bit closer view of it now. Looks like it's weird how the fence has been put up there and it's on a mound and worn all around the fence, and yet it's got that damage. Weird. Just getting my bearings. So that's the wood down in there. So there's the diagonal then. It goes that way, does it? No, it's that way, yeah. You see the line across the field there. Lovely soundtrack of a mower. Anyway, we're nearly at the road. I say we're nearly at the road like you know what I'm talking about. We're nearly at a road. Ooh. There's an example of what I mean by things splitting off when it's like in, you know, when the weight gets too much. When it splits that low down and then has that much above it, what it means is when it gets blown about, it's quite easy for that to split in there. And there's a beautiful old field maple. See, now that brings me to what I was going to say, which is that, you know, we have to manage trees now because it's all so fucked up. You know, there's a reason why, you know, you look at the branches and they're so thin, but when you look at the bottom, like that field maple, that's, you know, that's an old tree. That's hundreds of years old. But I learned a sad fact the other day, and that is that England has only got 10% woodland. I think Wales has got 16%, Scotland's got 14%, something like that, but England has the lowest percentage of woodland coverage, 10%. We can't afford to cut any more down. And I tell you, it actually makes me glad that I'm nearer death than birth. There you go, there's another old one. Look at the size of that. But yet, if you were to just look at one of those branches, you wouldn't know, would you? You'd think it was young, a few years old. The branches are, actually. The thin bits. They're a few years old, but the rest of it, well, hundreds. So let's get on. This is a nice bit, so I might shut up while we go down here. Just as the car comes to ruin that. Oh well. Ooh, look at that. That's the kind of thing I love seeing in nature. Well, there'll come a point when they're so exposed, they'll be like the Avebury wishing trees.